Now, the one thing that sucks about being a helpless romantic is that you start envisioning the person you're in love with in a different way than they actually are. And this leads to a lot of troubles that, well, may cause you to hide in the bathroom from them. But before we get into the story, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also on top of that, thank you guys so much for 300,000 subscribers on this channel, BabaStreams. It means so much to me. And on top of that, hopefully we get to grow to 1 million from me telling more embarrassing and, well, really sad stories about my life. Wow, I really need help. But at least I know now there's 300,000 of you guys that enjoy these stories. So thank you guys so much. But honestly, other than that, let's just get straight into today's story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Baba, and welcome back to an insane story. So today's story all takes place back in my middle school year. Yes, middle school. Now, middle school, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a slayer. I wasn't, you know, the guy that you guys know today. I'm not the guy that back in middle school, I wasn't the ultimate rizzler. Even though nowadays, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of lost my rizz because I've gotten older and I started realizing how much of a buffoon I was back when I was growing up. But in middle school, this was like peak woman repellent, like me. You know what I mean? Like no girl wanted to be near me. You know, no girl was interested in me. And honestly, I had this one crush, but you know, she ended up not working out. I've told many stories about her on the channel. But obviously, when one crush doesn't work out, you move on to the next. I know it sounds kind of crazy and I sound like that guy from the show You, where like basically gets obsessed to another woman every single time. Obviously, I wouldn't go to that extent of killing for it, but you guys get what I mean. Anyways, I remember one time in middle school, there was a girl I ended up meeting that was new to the school. And apparently she transferred from a different school that was from our area, not from like a different country or anything, but she basically moved schools from a different school that was literally not that far from my house. Now, I always found it weird how this girl went from one school to another, and I ended up asking one time one of the girls that were in my social studies class at the time, saying, hey, like, I have a question, like, do you guys know the new girl? Oh my goodness, her? Dude, Baba, stay away from her. Trust me, like, she's actually, like, weird. Wait, what do you mean she's weird? No, like, trust me, like, you want to stay away from her. Like, she's the girl you don't want to go near. I never understood why this girl didn't like her, but I thought maybe this was just one girl that might not like this chick. You know, like, you know, girls have drama all the time, and maybe this girl just heard some bad news and decided not to be near this chick, you know? Like, I didn't think anything much of it. So what I ended up doing is I ended up actually asking another girl in my next class, which was my math class, and I asked her this. Hey, like, I have a question. Do you guys know the new girl that came in? Like, she was down the lunch hallway. Did you see her at all? Baba, what are you planning on doing with her? What do you mean, what am I planning on doing? I just want to know who she is. Baba, do yourself a favor and just stay away from her. At this point, I was really confused on why no one liked her. Like, she wasn't ugly. She wasn't weird. She wasn't, you know, psycho. Like, she was a genuine, hot, attractive woman. So I remember at this point, I was really confused and lunchtime hit. When lunchtime hit, I remember I basically ended up going to the cafeteria, meeting up with some of my friends at middle school at the time, which weren't really my friends, but we could just pretend. And I sat down with them and I said, apparently a lot of girls don't like this new girl. Bro, are you talking about the new girl? Like the chick that like is in my class now? Yeah, do you know her? Dude, the chick's like actually psycho for some reason. Wait, what's the story behind that? Anyways, from there, I remember my friend ended up telling me a crazy story about one of her exes and how he ended up going missing. And at this point, I was confused. I was like, oh, like, where did he go missing? Was he ever found? And then that's when he told me, bro, the guy was found, but like, apparently he's like disabled now. What do you mean disabled? Oh, like, apparently like he can't walk. He can't walk? Now, at this point, I thought this was some myth. I thought this was like a joke, you know, fantasy, like rumor that went around my middle school. Cause let's be real here, it's middle school. Like, can you really take anything seriously? And that's when I decided to become the Ghostbusters. And what I did was I actually ended up going to this girl right after I heard the rumor. I ended up seeing her actually in the music room in one of those like private rooms where like people like go into and like practice their music without getting disturbed. And when I ended up seeing her through the window that she was in there playing the guitar, I ended up opening the door and saying, hey, like, what's going on? Do I know you? No, I'm Baba. Nice to meet you. I ended up shaking her hand and actually introduced myself properly. And for some reason, this girl seemed a lot more mature than she was supposed to be for grade 8, which makes no sense. And I don't know how I would know that, but it just, you know, the more I remember the story, the more it kind of just gets to me. But anyways, I remember I ended up talking to her about music and about all these like normal things that normal conversations usually have. And this girl seemed totally normal. But obviously, I wasn't gonna just let the rumor rest. So I ended up asking her saying, yo, like, I have a question. Like, I just want to know, like, why don't like a lot of girls like you here? A lot of girls don't like me because like they're all friends with my ex-boyfriend. And like, honestly, he got into like a serious accident and they all blame me for it. I don't know, it's some stupid reason. I don't really know, to be honest. Oh, okay. So like your ex-boyfriend's like disabled? Yeah, apparently like his like pelvis area doesn't work. I don't know. Anyways, after she told me about that, I ended up getting up and leaving the music room. But right before I left, she ended up inviting me over to her house. Now, I found it really weird how she invited me over right away, but apparently I guess she was attracted to me, which makes no sense because I looked like this back in grade 8. So realistically, there's no way she was actually attracted to me. But obviously she invited me over, and when a girl invites me over, obviously, like, you know, I guess I kind of see that as like a hopeless romantic sign, like, oh, this girl might like me. Now, this is where the story all falls apart, because I remember that same day day, I remember I ended up basically started walking home to go quickly to drop off my backpack and stuff. And as I was walking home, I remember I was walking home with one of my friends that lived across the street from me. He ended up walking home with me, and he ended up like, you know, talking to me about school and stuff like that. And then I ended up telling him how I was gonna, you know, go to this girl's house. When I told him that I was invited to this girl's place, he started freaking out at me, yelling at me as if I was going insane. He told me, bro, like, you're gonna be disabled if you go there. Like, dude, you're literally going to die. And I told him, bro, like, nothing's gonna happen to me. Like, I'll be okay. And that's when this guy started freaking out and started like panicking at me for hours on end as we were walking home. And I remember when I dropped off my backpack and closed my house door, I remember he ended up looking at me and he put his hands on my shoulder and told me, Bubba, if you don't make it, bro, I just want to say you were one of my best neighbors ever. Bro, I'm your only neighbor. Not the point, bro. I just want to say, like, good luck. And then he ended up going back to his place across the street. Now, at this point, I started kind of getting worried. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. But I ended up walking over to this girl's house without telling my parents, by the way, because there was no way my parents were going to let me go to a girl's house at this age. Anyways, I remember when I got to her house, I ended up going inside with her and she invited me in and told me, oh my gosh, hey, Baba, like, just go sit on the couch. I'll be out in just a minute. And I ended up going to sit on the living room couch. And as I looked around, I realized that there were no parents in the house. Now, when there's no parents in the house when you're in such a young age, you kind of get suspicious thinking, where's this girl's parents? Like, are you serious right now? So you start panicking and kind of like want some sort of authority to walk up to you to know at least you're safe, but no one was there. And as I stood up from the couch and started walking around, I saw one person in the kitchen. When I walked in there, I saw this older guy and he was wearing like a crop top with like short shorts. Like, it was kind of weird. And when I looked at him, I'm like, what's going on? He ended up turning around and saying, oh, like, look at you. And that's when I realized this dude was totally gay. But at the time when I was in middle school, I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't really understand gay people. I didn't know anything about the LGBTQ alphabet, whatever the hell it's called nowadays now. And I remember this girl ended up looking at me saying, hey, Bubba, like, do you want to come to my room? I ended up saying sure, and I ended up basically like going into this girl's room. And when I sat in her room, I remember I sat in her really pink bedroom, and then she ended up turning on the TV. Now, this girl wanted to watch a movie with me apparently, and we were like cuddling on her bed, which is really weird for grade 8s to do, by the way. We were laying down cuddling in the bed, just watching a movie, and then I remember for some reason, and I mean for some reason, the movie she wanted to watch wasn't actually a movie. Apparently she wanted to watch people getting beheaded or something. I don't know. It was some like really horrific movie that I'm gonna say right now, grade 8 should not be watching. Like, if like, it's just not PG at all. And then from there, I remember she started telling me how she like loves like the like seeing like people die and like seeing people like lose legs and limbs and stuff. Like, this girl had an obsession with amputation. Like, I'm not joking. It sounds really weird, but the way she explained it was, oh my goodness, like, Bubba, like, he has like blood gushing out like from his leg. Like, oh my goodness, like, it looks so good. Like, this girl seemed obsessed with like bloodshed and just like, I don't know, like, if this girl went to war, I feel like she would enjoy the death that's around her. Like, that's how scary it was. And I remember I started looking at her really uncomfortably, and I got to the point where I really didn't know what to say to that. And then at that point, I remember this girl ended up getting up and going into her closet, and she ended up pulling out a katana, a full-on katana. Like, I'm talking like a sword. This girl that's in grade 8 had a sword. And then she started walking up to me with it out of like its casing and pointed towards me. And at that point, I only did the one thing I knew that I was best at, and that was running away. I ended up running out of the bedroom as fast as I could, and I ran past her gay brother, uncle. I don't really know what he was, but he was something, I guess. And basically, I ended up running into the bathroom and closing the door and started crying. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. This girl was like out to kill me, and knowing that like her ex-boyfriend literally like became disabled, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually her fault. I started panicking and freaking out, and I remember I ended up calling my parents to call 911 and how, like, you know, this girl had a katana and she was gonna kill me. My parents didn't believe it at first, but then afterwards when I started crying, my mom knew that it was serious. And then one thing led to another. Cops came to the house and people got arrested. The little girl didn't get arrested because obviously she was underage, but apparently the big gay dude or whatever the hell he was ended up getting arrested. And basically from there, yeah, I guess hiding in my crush's bathroom really did save my life. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.